2 microphones,
2 Amandas.
and some seriously entertaining tales. I'm Amanda Wedekamp.
And I'm Amanda Stanzione.
We know stories connect us all.
And we realized we have a mountain of stories to share. So buckle up,
And brace yourself for a wild ride.
because we've got a lot to say and probably too much to share.
We want to make a caveat for this episode because we're going to talk about the joys and struggles of parenting emerging adults.
Yes,
And here's the thing, we're living this right now.
right now.
So we can't really give you, here's what happened, and it's all joyful.
Right, and here's the advice we can give you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so just know that we are living this, and we just thought this would be a great conversation to have because sometimes parenting adult children is challenging.
Is challenging.
Sometimes it's joyful.
Sometimes it's hilarious.
Yes, all of
Yes,
the things.
all of the things.
And I'm wearing my Cool Mom sweatshirt.
Which
if
is
you
very cute.
are watching us on YouTube. And I always tell people, it's not because I am a cool mom. This is a reminder. Be cool.
Oh, I love that.
Be a cool
So
mom.
it's like aspirational.
It is.
Yes.
Because sometimes they will make a phone call to you and you're like, do not lose it. You got to be a cool mom
Right.
right now.
I love it. It's a reminder.
It is a reminder.
It is a reminder.
It is a reminder.
Be cool.
And on the phone call situation, here's one piece of advice I will give. And people think this is so funny, but I have put a baby picture of my children. So when they call me, a baby picture of them pops up, and I'm already a little less on edge.
I love
because
it.
you never know when they call.
Yes.
What's happening?
Yes. It's funny that you say that because Zoe has a really great sense of humor. And the picture that I have on my phone is her making some silly face with like the eye patches underneath her eye, and she's in her pajamas just being silly. And it reminds me like, this silly girl. She's
Yes.
so funny when I pick up the phone.
I love it.
And you never know what voice you're going to get.
Right. It
Yeah.
could be something emergent. It could be something that is, hey, I'm just bored and I wanted to
Right.
chit chat.
Right. Or,
Yeah.
I love that. I love that sound. I love that one.
And it could be something extremely dramatic that you're like, I'm just going to be listening.
Yes, just listening, not butting in
No.
at all.
So to recap, I have a daughter who is 22 years old. Her name is Gwen. And I have a son. I say I, but it's my husband and I always just
Obviously.
say I.
Yeah.
And we have a son who is 27 years old. He is full-blown adult, lives
Yes.
on his own. Although, I mean, I think we still pay for his phone.
Right.
So how does that work?
So
Well,
is he truly independent?
Right. I mean, I don't know, but he has a full-time job. He lives in North Carolina, has a girlfriend that lives with him. We adore her as well.
He's
She's-
full-time adulting.
He is.
Yeah,
He is.
yeah.
She's the same age that he is. So, and then our daughter Gwen is a senior in college, getting ready to graduate.
Yay!
So that's going to be a whole
As much fun for you as it is for her. I mean, that's a big accomplishment for everyone.
It is. That's another chapter then that will open for her life.
Yes.
So how about you?
So we have a daughter, Zoe, who is 23 years old. She graduated from University of Georgia last May. And so now she is in the, okay, I'm an adult trying to figure out what's next. So she's got some great things that she's doing and some stuff on the horizon, but it's a funky time in life.
It is. And I think jobs can be hard to come by.
They are, especially right now. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're an executive with 20 years experience or you're a college graduate fresh into the workforce. Like, it's really a tough market right now.
It really is.
Yeah.
And, you know, for my daughter, Gwen, she's in video and film production. So,
Yeah.
you know, she could potentially get an internship or a, you know, new opportunity, but a lot of time the internships don't pay.
Right,
So that's
right.
another, you know, situation
Yep.
that you just have to kind of figure out.
Yeah.
So I will say one of the joys, I think, of having adult children is seeing them become who they're meant to be.
Yes, that is a great point. I do.
So,
I love that.
Yes, for Gus, you know, I remember when he was in kindergarten, he had to write a story and he wrote about ESPN.
Oh my gosh. I mean,
Because
this
he
child.
just, Sports Center,
I
he
know.
has
I
loved
love it.
sports. His first word was ball. I mean, that child
Oh,
has
love
loved
it.
sports his whole entire life. And he works for a company that does college sports broadcasting.
Very cool.
So
he's exactly where he needs to be.
Exactly,
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah, and where mine's a little different. So Zoe was very studious, and all through school, just, you know, she wore her glasses, she had her braces, she was, you know, she went to a smaller high school, and she was just in French and like
Oh,
a French
yes.
club, like all those things. And then she was about to graduate high school, and she had what she considers, now as her mom, I always think she's beautiful, but she says she had a glow up. I will say, she then looked like she was ready for college.
Yes.
So when she hit Rush for sorority at the University of Georgia, her freshman year, she was ready to rock and roll. So, she ended up getting a political science degree, but she has always wanted to be an actress. And so now she's doing some modeling, she's doing some acting, she's about to start an acting class. So you just never really know where it's going to take them, but you also want to be really supportive.
Yes.
So I think that's kind of one of the difficult pieces of being a parent to young adult children is you want to be supportive of their dreams while also helping them realize I am an adult, though, and kind of need to figure out how am I going to live on my own? Like, how am I going to survive?
Right.
How am I going to provide for myself?
Yes.
While they are independent, they're still dependent in some ways. Like, if we're paying for their health insurance and their cell phone,
yes,
and they've got a credit card that they use for gas,
right,
I'm like, okay,
right,
you're not independent.
Exactly.
So.
And one of the funny conversations we've had multiple times is our daughter Gwen has wanted pets.
Oh, yeah.
And she wanted
one more mouth to feed.
Exactly. She wanted a pet in college, and my husband's big line is dependents don't get dependents.
Yes, I love that so much.
So that is something you can borrow. We definitely recommend you use that, and we have been able to shut that down.
I do love it. I think sometimes too, your adult children will surprise you with how wise they are in some ways.
Yes.
So I remember a couple of years ago when Zoe was in college, she came home for a summer. We were talking about something and I said, oh, don't forget, while you're home for the summer, it'd be a good idea if you went to the dentist. She said, Mom, I went last week. And I'm like, wait a minute. You made your own dentist appointment. You went to the dentist, showed your insurance card.
Yes.
And then didn't even need to tell me about it because I got this.
I did it.
Like, of course I did it. So I realized she's making her own doctor's appointments.
Yes.
Like, she is doing all of these things. Now, at the same time, true story, about a month ago, I get a text message that said, hey, Mom, should I have sushi for dinner tonight? And I said, do you want sushi for dinner tonight? She said, yes. And I said, then you should have sushi for dinner tonight. And then I followed it up with, follow me for more answers to life's most pressing questions. I mean, she thought I was hilarious, but I'm like, should you have sushi tonight? I don't know. I don't know.
Do you want sushi?
Right. You do? Well, guess what? Answer's right in front of you.
Then go get it.
So I just think it's funny. Like, sometimes they really exceed, I say, expectations or more than you thought they would. And then other times you're like, what are you talking about?
Right. What's happening?
Right. What is happening?
Yes.
You want me to tell you what to eat for dinner? I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that.
Oh, one of the things that I definitely struggle with is how much do we intervene?
Yes.
How much do we, quote unquote, rescue them?
Right.
How much do we run in front of them and try to avoid the pitfall?
And sometimes they want our opinion, and then other times they just want us to be an ear.
Yes.
And so then I think, did I want to hear that?
I know.
Should I have heard that? Should I then take some action?
Yes.
And you just don't know. Like, is this now the time where I should step in?
Right.
I don't know. That is a tough one.
I struggle with that. There are some times where I will say to Gwen, is this a fix it or feel it moment?
Oh, that one's great.
Yes, I heard that from someone else.
Okay, I'm taking
I can't take credit.
Fix it or feel it.
I'm like, do you just need me to listen?
Yeah.
Or do you want me to provide advice?
Oh, I love it.
So I have tried that. That seems to work. I have also let her make mistakes, right?
Yes, of course.
Because
you have to let them make mistakes.
It's so hard to do.
Yes.
I will tell you, it is so hard to do, but it goes so far.
Yes,
I mean, it
does.
really makes a huge difference.
I remember, and this is just a side story real quick, I remember when Zoe first went to high school, and her high school said to the parents, if your child forgets lunch, do not bring lunch to them. And as a mom, I'm like, what? Stab me in the heart. What do you mean? My child, she's going to starve. Yes. She needs her food. Which Zoe does get angry very quickly, which is hilarious. She goes from like 0 to 100 in no time. But that was really hard for me because I thought, I don't want her to not have food. So of course, then I'm crazy every day after that. Like, did you forget your lunch?
Yes.
But it's funny that they even said at the time, like, they are growing up. Do not rescue them. Mm-hmm. And it's difficult.
It is very hard. I think of a couple of times where, Gwen wanted to plan a trip with some friends. And so she puts the deposit down for this Airbnb. and of course doesn't read all the fine print. And I'm letting her plan
Right,
all this.
yeah.
Well, turns out nobody could actually go, or they all backed out. She tries to get her deposit back, loses out on that.
Yeah.
And that was a bummer.
It is.
But she learned.
She did. And you know what? Probably will not do that again.
Exactly.
It
So,
is.
I like to think of, okay, for the most part, the mistakes they're going to make are not going to alter the course of their life.
Yes.
And that is where you're like, okay, you're going to let them make mistakes. Now,
Right.
would I let her drink and drive? Absolutely
Oh,
not.
of course.
You know
right,
what I mean?
Right, of
like
course
those
not.
kinds of
Yeah.
things.
It's the things that aren't going to, like you said, I like that. It's not going to alter the course of their life,
Yes.
but it might hurt in the moment.
Right.
And I think that's difficult because I really feel like I want to provide a soft landing
Mm-hmm.
for Zoe, but at the same time, she has to stand on her own 2 feet.
Right.
And she's a
Right.
very independent gal, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, well, is everything okay? I
Yes.
mean, what are we doing?
Right.
So, and we talk like 4 times a day. I mean, like we talk all the
Yes.
time. And again, like you don't know what you're going to get. When I answer the phone, it could be, hey, mommy.
Yes.
Or it could be, I mean, like, you
You're
never
like,
know.
I know, you don't know.
You don't know.
It is like,
You're
it's like a bomb.
right.
Am I going to set the
right.
bomb off?
And you answer the phone like, hey.
Yeah.
Not no, like, hey,
Right. What's going on?
What are you doing?
Yes.
And then you end up matching the energy, or like, now I need to take it
Yes.
down. Now this is a slow it down.
Yes.
She's having feelings.
She's having
Yeah.
feelings.
Yeah.
I also think we bring our own relationship with our parents
Yes.
into these things. And so that's something that I'm super cognizant of. And even like my relationship with my son's girlfriend.
Yeah.
And I think about my relationship with Jim's mom.
Yeah.
And you just try to learn from those
Yeah.
and do a little bit better because listen, no one is perfect.
Of course.
There are no perfect people in this world. We are all going to make mistakes.
I am not a perfect parent.
Right. And you just have to own your mistakes.
Yes.
And I think one thing that is important for me, especially, is it's more important to have the relationship than to be right.
Oh, so true. I remember when the kids were young, Chris and I heard someone speak on parenting. And one of the things is you should be okay with telling your kid, I'm sorry.
Yes.
And I thought that was such an interesting thing because as parents, we're always like, we're the parents, we're right, like we know all the things. But it's okay that sometimes you do make a mistake as a parent. Sometimes you don't know all the things. And to be able to say to your kid, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Like I didn't do the right thing.
Yep.
Or I hurt your feelings. Or I just thought that was interesting. Like when you say, I'm sorry, that is one of the greatest parenting things that I took away. But it's something that you think, well, of course we say our sorry.
Yes, but
as parents, do we really?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No, I think that's good. Own your own mistakes and humble yourself enough
Yeah.
to apologize.
I remember when we were in the car, Zoe was, I think, 14, and I had had a bad day, and I looked at her and I said, sweetheart, one day you are going to realize that I'm just a person too. Like, and she wasn't upset or
Yes.
anything. I just realized, like, I'm upset, and I'm not like, perfect mom.
Right.
And I just said, you will one day realize that I am just human too.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
I make mistakes. I'm not going to be a perfect parent.
Right. I also think something that might be harder for our kids to think about and understand is so they were a certain way in high school, right? And we parented a certain way.
Right.
And now they have matured, but guess what? We have too.
Right. Yes.
And I think sometimes they go back to, oh, I don't want that feeling of how they yelled at me in high school. And we're like, right, we've also matured through
Right,
that.
right. Yes, that's a great point because just as they have matured, so have we as parents. Because you also don't parent your middle schooler the same way you parented your kindergartner.
Yes.
Or your high schooler versus your sixth grader. Like, you do parent them differently. And so now this wild stage of life that we're in with parenting these young adults who are like independent but not
Right.
completely, it's wild.
It is wild.
But I'll say too, talking about maturing, Zoe, I remember there's a couple of times where I think, wow, she's gotten older. Like I don't remember when this was, definitely within the last year or something. We were talking and she goes, well, tell me about your day, Mom. What have you been up to? And I was like, oh, well, today I blah, blah, blah,
Yes.
but she was more wanting to have a conversation with me.
Right.
More about like, I'm your daughter, you're my mom, let's catch up on what you did today or what's happening in your world. And we got off the phone and I thought, she has like she has leveled up.
Yes.
She has her adulting life. She has made one more step towards adulting.
Right.
You know? Like I could see that she's changing. It's not just a take.
Yes, it's not all about me, all about me, all about me.
Yeah,
Yes.
she has grown out of that, and
Yes.
I really am grateful for that.
And, you know, that is a different time frame for everyone.
It is. It
and
really
that's
is.
the fascinating thing.
It
I
is.
will tell you, I'll never forget when I swear I said, I think Gus's frontal cortex is formed.
Well, you know, it does take till 25.
I know. And
Okay.
I think I saw the moment it
Right,
happened
right.
because he is a huge sports fan. Okay?
Yes, yes.
Fanatic. I mean, that's
Right.
where the
Oh,
word
yeah.
comes from. And when his team does terrible, I mean, it could ruin his day. It could ruin his week.
Yeah.
And there was a situation where I think the team got kicked out of either the tournament or I can't remember,
Right.
but I was like, you know, you're always afraid to reach out, like, how you doing? And he's
Oh.
like, well, you know, they had a good run and they really had exceeded expectations this year. And I was like,
Yeah.
I think it formed.
Yes.
I think we're there.
Right now.
Yes.
Isn't that crazy? It's
It was
like a
wild. Mm-hmm.
light switch. You just realize, okay, we've leveled up.
Yes.
We're on the next level of adulting.
Yes.
It's so wild when that happens.
It really is. And, you know, Gwen is a woman, obviously,
Yes.
so more emotional and things that used to set her over the edge.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm like, oh, I was bracing for,
Right,
you know, a
right.
big reaction.
Yes.
And like those have smoothed out a
Yes,
little bit.
yes.
So you do see it, but when you're in it, you're like, is this ever going to happen? You
I know.
And talking about, you know, having adult children, that also leads a lot of times to having older parents.
Yes.
And we are considered the sandwich generation.
Yes.
Right? So, you know, I have obviously gotten even closer to my mom as I have aged and my children have aged.
Yeah.
I also love seeing that my children have a separate relationship with
yes.
her.
That's very cool.
And even Gus's girlfriend has a relationship with her.
Oh, I
mean,
love
it's the
that.
cutest
Yes.
thing. And I'll never forget. This is how I know, like, my mom is the most understanding person. I'm in the thick of motherhood, right? Like I probably at this point had a 5-year-old and a 10-year-old.
Okay.
Okay. And it's around Mother's Day. And we are talking like it is Mother's Day. And I know I did not send my mom a gift or a card.
Oh, gosh.
Okay. And I feel terrible.
Oh, of
because
course,
I
yes.
love her and I want her to feel so special.
Yes.
So I FaceTime her from the grocery store, pick out a card.
Oh, no way.
Yes!
This is amazing.
And I'm like, Mom, I didn't send you a card, but here's the card I would have sent you.
Yes, and let me read it to
Yes,
you.
let me read it
Oh,
to you.
my gosh.
And I'll just never forget that because this grocery store, it was a really nice one in upstate New York and it had like the patio furniture inside. So I'm like sitting on this rocker and I'm like, Mom, I love you and I'm so sorry.
Oh my gosh,
You know,
that
like-
is so sweet. Your sweet mom must have just been like, okay.
She's like, honey, I understand.
Right, it's
I
okay.
understand,
It
you
is.
know?
It's okay. It's funny because my mom passed several years ago, but my mom and I talked as many times a day as Zoe and I do. So it's one of those things where I'm like, oh, my mom and I used to talk all the time every day,
Yes.
like I do with Zoe. And my mom and I would laugh so hard that we would just be in tears. Like we were always laughing. And Zoe and I are that way. And it's like every time we get to crying from laughing so hard, it gives me that good feeling of, oh, I remember my mom and I had that. You know,
Yes.
so it's interesting as I have this relationship with Zoe and look back on how much fun I had with my own mom, you know,
Right.
and it's just like you see it kind of pass
Yes.
through. I don't know. It's the
and
wildest
it's such
thing.
a testament to your relationship with your
Yes.
mom. And it's so touching because you're like, and we're just continuing this on.
And you know what? When we talk about adult children, so I remember, it's funny that you brought that up because I remember when I was becoming a young adult, I would sit out on the back porch with my mom and I would kind of talk through some things, you know, a problem I was having, and she wouldn't tell me what to do. She would just always say, like, what do you think you should do? And then it was well, let me talk it through me. And then I would end up talking it out and then realizing what I need to do because I talked it out myself.
Yes.
Now, I thought that was so wise. I years later, told her, Mom, that was always so great when you were like, okay, well, let me hear you out. What do you think you should? She said, honey, it's because I had no clue. And I thought that was so funny. She said, I had no idea what to do. Every time you were telling me one of those stories, I was like, I don't know. So I thought, well, if I'm just calm and ask you what you think you should
Yes.
do, you'd get to the answer. And you did.
Yes,
And
no,
thought
I
that's-
love that advice.
Oh my gosh.
And I need to take that advice more because I'm very confident in my answer. So I would be like, well, here's the 3 things you need to do. You know what I mean? Where I
Yes.
need to be like, I'm not really sure. Let's talk through it.
Right.
What do you think?
What do you think? I do
Yes.
think and then sometimes when people say, I don't know, you hear them say, well, if you did know, what would it be?
Yes.
I think it's funny. Maybe we should try more of that. Well, what do you think you should do?
I think that
see where
is
that
good.
gets us.
Those empathetic
Yes,
questions.
right.
I'm not great at those. I'm very much like, here's the action.
Here's the action, and you should do it.
Take.
And if she doesn't take those actions, are you like, well, you should have. You should have done what I said.
So I have had to learn to bite my tongue.
Okay.
Because there have been times where she has wanted to do certain things like with her hair.
Okay.
And I think it's a bad idea, and she does it anyway.
Well, thank God it's not life altering.
No, I know,
It's her hair.
exactly.
Yeah.
And then she's unhappy with it.
And you're like, well.
And I'm just like, it'll grow.
You know, Zoe will never forget this one time when she was, I think, like in 8th grade, and we went to get her hair cut, and she was cutting it all off. And I said, well, if you're going to cut it all off, maybe cut it to your chin. Like, let's start with a bob. And if you want to go shorter, you can, but let's start with a bob.
Yes.
Like, I'm your mom. You're in 8th grade.
Yeah.
I know that you are not going to want this. And then she goes, no, I think cut it even shorter. And I was like, oh, this is going to be bad. And I said, okay, it's your. We left, and she was in tears. We had to go home. And as her mom, I feel horrible that she
Yes.
hates it. So I'm like blowing it out differently with a round brush and a blow dryer, trying to make it look better. And she has such a positive attitude because after about 24 hours, she was like, it's cool. I look great. And I'm like,
Okay.
awesome.
Awesome.
Yes. And
Yes.
she's like, I love it, Mom. It's going to be great. And I'm like, you know what? Even if you're just saying that to yourself,
Right.
great attitude.
Own it.
Yeah, own it. Great
And
attitude.
it will grow back.
But when you see them making those decisions, you just are like, oh, don't do that.
Right. Because again, we know who they are.
Right. And you want to say to your child, I know who you are.
Yes.
I know you will hate this.
Right.
And then they want to do it anyway. And it's
Especially like Gwen is more low maintenance. So if she got a haircut that she had to blow out every day and style, I mean, this is where I'm like, I know you.
right.
You're gonna think you're gonna do it, but
And
then
then
you're
you
not
won't.
going to
And
do it.
then you're not gonna like
and
your-
I know that.
Yeah.
But you go ahead and do what
Right,
you want,
right.
and then you'll learn. And
And-
these are the life lessons.
They are the life lessons.